A beautiful summer Sunday in the nation's capital. We welcome you to Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. The finale of this three-game series between the Reds and the Nationals. And the Reds are trying to get out of here with a win before making their way to St. Louis tonight. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Great to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon for Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds need a win. And they have the right guy on the mound if they're trying to get a win here today, and that would be Scott Feldman.
Well, recent history will certainly tell you that, because when Feldman's taken the mound the last couple of times the Reds have won, and believe me, it has been far and few in between, really, if Feldman is not pitching. He threw a very good ball game his last time out when he was down there in Tampa Bay and threw a lot of different breaking balls, but mainly it's been fastball command for Feldman that has really directed him to that win streak that he's got going on. He's a guy that is not overpowering, 91, 92 at the most is his fastball, but he keeps the ball down, and the Reds opening day starter, well, they need him very desperately today to rise to the occasion.
Well, you know, it's funny, we talk about Harper and Zimmerman and Murphy and Rendon, but you know, you're really tight with those Washington lawyer kind. How about the trifecta of Turner, Goodwin, and Taylor?
See, I thought it was
That's right up your alley.
Anyway, hey, accounting or legal firm, what they're doing right now is they're swinging the bat, these guys. It just goes to show you how deep this Washington national lineup is. I mean, just when you think you're out of the worst part of the lineup, here you got some guys down the bottom that can hit the ball out of the ballpark or deliver big blows against you. You've got to throw a lot of strikes. You can't give them extra outs on the base paths, and you've got to play good defense. The Reds will score some runs, but you've got to keep the Nationals down somehow.
Well, the guy they're trying to score against, he can be very, very good. Not as sharp so far this year, but a solid, dependable pitcher in Tanner Roark.
Well, he has been, but I'll tell you what, he's coming off a couple of bad outings, and he's wondering what the heck's going on. The Nationals have given him plenty of runs with which to work. He's not been able to make that stand up. I think after what he saw out of Ross yesterday, maybe he's hoping for the same kind of run support. Maybe not 18 runs, certainly, but he's a guy that's used to having some runs with which to work. I'm not so sure, though, the Reds aren't going to go after him hard today.
All right, when we come back, we'll check in with our main man. I mean, he is the guy covering Reds baseball. That's Jim Day. Going to bring you up to speed on his buddy, Scooter. To Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. We're actually going to start right on the very second they asked this one to get underway at 1:35 Eastern Time. Billy Hamilton already in the batter's box. And Tanner Roark is set to go, and here we go. Game 3 of this series. Strike one to Hamilton. And this one underway, and we'll check in with Jim Day about Scooter Gennett before he comes up next. The numbers brought to you by Mazda on Tanner Roark.
Now, those are his numbers this year, 6-4. He's had a pretty good career, 48 wins against only 32 losses. Total earned run average in the threes.
That ball blasted off the bat of Billy Hamilton, and the race is on now for Billy. He's rounding second, and he'll slam on the brakes with a leadoff double. That's a nice way to start it for the Redlegs.
Well, he broke an 0-for-20 streak yesterday, Billy did, and it'd be nice to see him get hot again because you really need something from the top of the lineup other than Scooter Gennett. You know, you'd love to get him on, especially Billy Hamilton's speed in a tight ball game. You know what he can do to pitchers and defense when he's on base with a threat to steal.
So here comes Scooter Gennett at 293, 10 home runs, a whopping 38 runs batted in. Scooter had 2 more hits in the loss here yesterday, but man, does he just keep on hitting. How about it, Jim Day?
Well, 6 games as a starter now with Cozart out, and 320 average, 3 home runs, 6 runs driven in, and you guys have talked about it many times. The numbers that he's putting up in far fewer at bats. Very, very impressive. The Reds hope that hot hitting continues today.
Well, they could use a base hit right now, and that would get him on the board more than likely. There's a little half swing foul ball, 1 ball and 1 strike on Scooter Gennett.
Well, what they could really must need, though, in this situation is at least get that runner to third base, not making Billy Hamilton steal third. And that way Votto could drive him in with a fly ball. Scooter's pretty good at bat control. But you're going to see Roark trying to pitch him away, force him to hit the ball the other way and not be able to pull it.
Roark has been a really good pitcher in 2 of the last 3 seasons for these Nationals. 2 years ago, right at 200 innings, a 15-game winner, a 2.8 ERA. That's for the year. Been an off year, pitching primarily out of the bullpen in 2015. Last year, back into the starting rotation. 16-10 the record. The ERA even lower at 2.83, and pitched 210 innings. I mean, for a guy who's generally considered number 3, number 4 in the rotation, those are very impressive numbers.
Well, he's only 3 or 4 in this rotation because you got Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer ahead of him. I mean, you forget all about guys like Joe Ross and Roark because all of the publicity goes to, you know, those 2 that I mentioned plus Gio Gonzalez. This is a very thick and deep starting staff.
2-2 on Gennett.
And smart pitching right there by Roark. I mean, you see him just pounding the outside of the zone. You know, Scooter Gennett has become very good at staying inside the ball. But when you try to pull the ball on, if it's a pitch that's on the outside part of the plate, you go back to hooking it. So it's really contrary to everything that you've been working on to pit the ball where it's pitched. Roark knows that, and that's why he's pounding the outside of the zone.
And that one looped into left field. This will be a base hit and a run batted in. So a double by Hamilton, another base hit by Scooter Gennett. And the Reds, after 2 hitters, have a 1-0 lead.
Well, the way to get it going right there, if you're not going to pull the ball and get him over to third base the old-fashioned way, you might as well get that runner in. Reds scored 4 runs in the first inning on Friday night against Steven Strasburg to kind of set the pace for the offense, and maybe they can put a big number on the board here.
That was a game on Friday night. The Reds just had one get away from them. They had the 4-0 lead. It went to 4-1, then 5-1. But over the last 7 innings, the Reds were held in check to 2 hits and no runs. And the Nationals stormed back to win it 6-5 in 10 innings. Now Joey Votto. Votto 2 of 4, 2 of 3 while he was in the game yesterday, including his substitute hitting a home run in that number 3 spot. And Votto had 1 hit in 4 at bats along with a walk Friday night. Fouled out of play. After the game today, your schedule would show, if you have one at home, that the Reds are going to enjoy an off day tomorrow. That is not the case. We invite you to join us from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, a makeup game from an earlier rainout back at the end of April. And Brandon Finnegan is set to come off the disabled list, Chris. So perhaps with Castillo up here now, the return of Bailey yesterday, the return of Finnegan tomorrow, things are starting to come together a little bit.
Well, the control and command issues aside, Finnegan was off to a pretty good roll to start the season. You see the earned run average of 2.7, and he just came up with a lat problem of some kind to put him on the disabled list, and it's kept him out quite a long time.
Look to the right side. That will trickle into right field by a diving Murphy. First to third goes Jeanette. 3 straight hits for the Reds, and he gets by, and Jeanette's going to score. We had Rendon, and right next to him was Roark, and it was able to split him. And the Reds have a 2-0 lead. Votto on to second base.
Now the little ground ball that finds a hole right here. Harper comes up throwing. I think there was a little decoy perhaps. Actually hit Jeanette on the back, and that's why it got away from Rendon. Not a bad play by Rendon. And of course the pitcher, when you're backing up, you can't anticipate that. So the Reds catch a break right there. The error goes to the right fielder.
Now the Reds really in business. Chris mentioned the 4 spot here on Friday night. They have 2. They have a runner in scoring position. Nobody out. And Adam Duvall, the batter. 16 home runs, 48 runs batted in. Been right at a week since Duvall's last home run. It came during that Dodgers series before the Reds took off on this road trip. 1 ball and 1 strike on Adam.
Roark is a pitcher that has, if you count both fastballs as different pitches, 6 pitches in his repertoire. 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, changeup, slider, curve, and a cutter. The slowest pitch is around 76 miles an hour. The highest he'll go is somewhere in the neighborhood of 92, 93.
What you mentioned earlier, Chris, lately.
There's the old "what have you done for me lately" question. I asked that a lot of you, Tom Brenneman. Get the same answer.
Not a lot. Breaking ball away. 3 balls and a strike.
I've lowered my expectations. Now you've been overexposed.
Thank God. Thank God. Just let them get as low as they can get. 3-1 on Duvall. Votto at second base, and Adam looks at a fastball strike. You don't see Duvall do that too often.
Yeah, perfect pitch though, right on the outside corner. You know, you're either hunting certain pitches or you're hunting certain zones. I got to figure right there. That's a smart thing for Duvall to do, to lay off a pitch that he's not looking for.
All right, now a 3-2 count on Adam. And the pause and the pitch is ball 4, low and away. So a 4th straight Red reaches base to begin this game against Roark. Let's take a look at the Reds starting lineup presented by Menard. You've seen Hamilton, Jeanette, Votto, Duvall. Here comes Schebler. Kiblahan, a rare start. A rare day off for Suarez. Ladder third of Peraza, Barnhart, and Feldman. Schebler had a hit in 3 at bats, scored a run, knocked in a run here on Friday night. He was hitless in 3 at bats yesterday. Strike 1. Nationals 45 up, 29 down, a 9-game lead over Atlanta in the National League East. The Reds are 13 games under the 500 mark at 30-43. They have not lost ground the last couple of days. Milwaukee losing in Atlanta
each of the last 2 nights, so the Reds are 8 back in the Central. One ball, 1 strike on Scott Schebler. And pull to the right side. Lind for 1, return throw not in time. On to third goes Votto, and that's the first out of the inning. Couple of changes for the Nationals today. We look at their defense presented by Ford. No Zimmerman at first base. The rest of the infield the same. Same outfield we saw here yesterday. And Wieters gets a day off for Lobaton behind the plate. Patrick Kiblahan came off the bench yesterday and had a couple of base hits, drove in a couple of runs. Hit a home run to get the Reds on the board after being shut out through the first 5 by Joe Ross. And then a base hit to drive in another run in the 8th inning. Runners at first and third. The right side of the infield is wide open. They have Murphy cheating up towards the center field side near the second base bag. And a fastball is in there to Kiblahan. 2-1.
I was joking with Patrick before the ball game about how he excites his mom and dad and his grandparents when they come to ball games. He had 2 home runs when the Reds were in Philadelphia. He pinch hit yesterday, had a home run in his first at bat, and they're in the stands again today.
Broken bat Tapper. Rendon gets 1, and they will not be able to double up Kiblahan. That'll be a broken bat run batted in. And the Reds have scored 3 times, still batting here in the first inning. Take it any way you can get it. The 7th Red to bat in this inning is Jose Peraza. .254 batter. Peraza has 23 runs batted in, 3 home runs. He looks at a strike. Kiblahan the runner at first. 2 are out, 3 are in, and the 0-2 on Peraza is a fastball way upstairs. Runner goes and a foul ball out of play.
Now, the pitcher's nightmare, really. You come out of the bullpen, you probably feel pretty good. You're all set to turn things around after 2 bad starts in a row, and things kind of fell apart. Blue pit, error by your outfielder, a couple of fielders' choices where you can't turn double plays. All of a sudden, you're down by 3, and you're throwing nearly 30 pitches in the first frame. He's already thinking about the bullpen.
I don't think he is. Not the way they've pitched so far this year. Although you asked that question, what have you done for me lately? They were really, really good the opening night of this series.
Well, I mean, what I mean is that he knows that they pitched well the other night, but he also knows that over the course of the season, that's been their weak spot. Scoring runs has not been a weak spot. Starting pitching is certainly a strong end for the Nationals. But he's thinking with his pitcher already throwing 30 pitches in the first frame, it will be a bullpen game before it's all said and done.
Two and two the count. And a bouncing ball deep in the hole. This will be unplayable. No throw. As a shortstop went deep into the hole, Turner to get it. And that's an infield hit for Peraza. And now an eighth batter will come to the plate. And that's Tucker Barnhart in this first inning.
Well, the Reds are getting the most out of hitting them where they ain't, or almost where they ain't. Right there, the little blooper went over Turner's head off the bat of Jeanette. This one from Peraza is stopped by Turner, but still goes for a base hit.
Barnhart had a nice day yesterday. Boy, he just continues to swing a very good bat. He only got 2 trips to the plate before the Reds started making some changes in that Washington route, but he had a single into right field. He had a double into left center field. When he's becoming a doubles machine, when you look at the number of at-bats he has, and has 14 two-base hits, that's a very lofty number.
I think if you looked at his spray chart, you'd see that hits all over the place. Down the left field line and the gaps down the right field line. I mean, that's why every defense pretty much plays Tucker Barnhart straight up.
Fastball high. So pitch number 35 coming up for Tanner Roark.
And again, here you're looking at a Red starter that may get the hit in the first inning. It happened in the debut of Luis Castillo on Friday night.
Sure did. He was the final out. 9 came to the plate in that 4-run 5-hit first inning against Steven Strasburg.
I'll tell you, throwing 40 pitches in the first inning is like throwing 3 innings out there. Especially when you have the frustration that mounts with a couple of bloops and misplays. And just the inability to put the hitters away.
2 and 2, 2 on, 2 out. And we'll do it again.
I mean, if you had a reliever that you brought into the ball game, say in the 6th or 7th inning, and he threw 40 pitches in 1 inning, he's not going back out there for a 2nd inning. A little different story, obviously, with a starter. He's stretched out and all, but nobody stretches themselves out to prepare for a 40-pitch first inning.
2 and 2 the count on Barnhart. Runners at first and second base, and that ball is smoked into right field, and that will fly off the end of the glove of Harper. 1 run will score. They're going to wave around Peraza. He too will score a 2-run double, a double yet again for Tucker Barnhart. And the Reds have scored 5 runs still batting in the first inning.
Well, maybe that 18 spot the Nationals dropped on the Reds yesterday got their attention. Boy, and after Roark gets ahead in the at-bat against Barnhart. No balls and 2 strikes. He kind of toys around a little bit, makes the count even, and that ball was in for a double. Well, what a good feeling it is when you bat in the first inning as a pitcher.
Feldman is in search of his first hit of this season. He is 0 for 24. And behind 0-2 here. What a start for the Reds on this Sunday afternoon. And gone swinging is Feldman. The Reds have tied a season high for most runs in an inning. A 5 spot before Feldman ever throws a pitch. Today is 16th start of the year, a 5-4 record. He's our up and up storyline since May the 7th. Look at the rest of the starting rotation, Chris, and Feldman seems to be getting better as we're moving forward.
Well, I think he's more and more comfortable. You know, early in the year, yeah, he's going to be a starter as the opening day starter. He really wasn't sure how things were planned out, but I think he's been able to eliminate the noise around him. And I'm talking about the noise of one new rookie pitcher after another filling a spot in the rotation. You know, the trials and travails of Bronson Arroyo, the reemergence of older pitchers like Bailey coming back, and he's just going about his everyday business trying to prepare for the next start. I mean, he is as even-keeled as you'll ever find a major league pitcher, and his stuff is about even-keeled too. Not overpowering, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but he knows what his strengths are, and he sticks to those.
Well, what a feeling it must be to walk out there on the mound and look up on that scoreboard, and your team has just pushed across 5 runs as you're climbing the back of that mound in the bottom of the first inning. And here's a lineup he'll face, presented by Menards. Turner, a big day yesterday. Everybody had a big day yesterday. Goodwin, Harper, Murphy, Rendon, and Lind. Latter third of Taylor, who homered twice in the game, Lobaton and Roark. What a day for Turner, a career day for the young shortstop. 6 plate appearances on base each time. He had 5 hits, scored 4 runs, and knocked in 2. What a day. Seventh time in Nationals history, which they started playing here again in 2005 after moving from Montreal. But it's the 7th time a player has reached base safely at least 6 times. The last, a monster game earlier this year by Anthony Rendon. But according to the Elias Sports Bureau, Turner became only the 2nd leadoff batter in Expos / Nationals history to go 5 for 5 or better with 4 runs scored in a game. And well, the other one would be hard to figure out. That would be the Hall of Famer.
Tim Raines.
You got it.
The Rock.
And there's strike 3 call.
Well, it was fastball command that was really the key for Scott Feldman his last time out, and it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, a little comeback on that sinker. The idea is to get the hitter to give up on it and have it come back and touch the plate.
A good start for Feldman, 1 away, and here's Goodwin, who's had a nice series as well. He's on a good roll overall right now, even before the Reds came to town. 264 batters, 6 home runs, 16 driven in. On base twice, 2 walks, scored 2 runs. Had a big game in Friday's win, where he had 3 hits, was on base 5 times, and hit 2 home runs. 1-1. Slow breaking ball. That Goodwin fooled badly. Another big crowd on hand here today. Had in excess of 39,000 yesterday. Pitch inside. And now 3-2 on Goodwin. And back up through the middle and into center field, a base hit. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense. You've seen everybody bat already, so you know who's in there. Suarez, he doesn't get many days off, but he's out of there today in favor of Kiblahan. And everybody else pretty much the regular group. Patrick working down there at third base today. For these Reds backup players, those starts have been few and far between. He's made now 12 starts on the year as Kiblahan. 8 in right field, 3 in left field. So this is his first start in the infield, although he's played third base 1 other game in a relief role this season. And there's a base hit by Harper. So the Nationals, after lighting up the scoreboard yesterday, 18 runs and 19 hits, have consecutive 1-out singles in the first inning.
Well, Scott Feldman's got to figure, you know, I made a couple of pretty good pitches here and I've given up a couple of base hits. The same feeling that Tanner Roark had in the top of the inning. It ought to be noted that this seems to be a very fast infield. You see a lot of ground balls either get through the fielders quickly or get through the holes. Although ground balls are really not what Daniel Murphy is all about.
Nothing in 1 on Murphy, who checks in at 345 in the cleanup spot today, which is normally nailed down by Zimmerman. And lifts a fly ball to left, which should be easy for Duvall. It is, and there are 2 out. So now Rendon. Rendon's still very young. 25, just turned 26 about 2 weeks ago. Number 1 pick, the 6th pick overall back in June of 2011. Was drafted out of Rice University. Breaking ball gets away from Barnhart, and the runners take off, and both will advance.
Breaking balls in the dirt are funny because they look like they're going to go one way and they actually split and go off another way. And that time, you know, Barnhart did everything fundamentally correct. Got in front of the ball, leaned his chest forward, so when the ball came up and hit him, it would stay in front of him, but it didn't. Doesn't mean much with 2 outs, just puts 1 runner from first into second.
Good fastball in there on a 2-0 pitch, 2-1 on Rendon.
That seems to be the safe spot for Scott Feldman, and he's got that down pretty well. Not an easy pitch for a lot of right-handers to hit out there, but Feldman works from the very first base side of the pitching rubber. And it gives him a little better angle to try just to hit that outside corner against right-handers.
2 in scoring position with 2 outs. And a rolled over foul ball. Reds scored 5 in the top of the first. Washington batting in the bottom of the first. And Feldman trying to get this final out with no damage inflicted. 2-2 on the powerful third baseman Anthony Rendon. Break-even pitch on the way. Nowhere near the strike zone, and what a job by Barnhart preventing the runners from advancing any further. We have a left-handed batting first baseman Adam Lynn standing in the on-deck circle, but prior to this 3-2 pitch, Barnhart and Feldman want to make sure they're on the same wavelength here.
Oh, this is the guy you want right here. I mean, nothing against Rendon except that he's right-handed. You've got 2 strikes on him. But you do have the safety of knowing that if you throw a pitch and it just misses the plate, you know, you put a runner to fill an empty base. But it's got to look like a strike coming out of your hand.
Came with a 3-2 fastball and fouled off to the first base side on a play.
See, the way he hit that ball to right field and foul is telling me that he's prepared for the breaking ball. He's waiting and waiting and waiting, making sure that he doesn't get fooled on the curveball. And so he's late on that fastball. Much in the way you see Joey Votto do that intentionally when he gets 2 strikes all the time. Rendon has turned himself into a very smart hitter.
Another foul ball, and again Tardy off to the first base side, but the at-bat continues. This young man not only an outstanding player at Rice University, where he played 3 seasons before being drafted number 1. He was a very, very good student as well. Conference USA academic honor roll performer, and we know what kind of school Rice University is. It's a good one. The most famous Rice alum in Reds history would be one Norm Charlton. He had a triple major at Rice University. 3-2 the count on Rendon. And that strike 3 called. Rendon knew it. He's not going to turn around and argue. He was trying to buy one. That's a good at bat right there for Feldman, finishing off Rendon and stranding 2. Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer, and by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Lincoln Memorial on the ball here in D.C. It is just so cool to drive around in this town when you come into the ballpark on the bus, or we're trying to catch an Uber or a cab or something back home, and to drive past seemingly block after block after block of all the places you see on television, seen in movies, read about, as Hamilton leads off the second inning with a fly ball to center, 1 out. I mean, the money around this town, and of course most of it, Chris, to quote you, is yours and mine. Floating around this town is just mind-boggling. Coming up a little bit later on, some of the Reds players will be telling us about their favorite spot here in D.C. What monument do they like best? They had an off day on Thursday. We know with Tucker Barnard, he went over to the White House. He's got some pull over there. But baseball players are really no different than any of you at home outside of their paychecks, all of us for that matter. But there are just some people in this world, Chris, they wake up every morning and they're in a new city and they're adventurous. They want to get out. They're active. They want to go see the mall. They want to see the Capitol building in a town like here. They want to, be able to get out and check out the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, the Washington, you name it, Smithsonian, anything. National Geographic Museum right next to our hotel. Well, there are also other people that, hey, look, they get an off day. It is time to chill out. They're in their hotel room. It's really hot outside. They turn on the AC. They're going to kick back and watch some TV, right? And baseball players are no different. Some of the guys like getting out and about. Others are taking it easy. You would be the adventurous one.
I like Milwaukee City.
Yes.
I've been to a lot of the museums here and all of the historical sites over the years because we've been coming here a long time. But there are so many great neighborhoods to walk through. Whether it's early in the morning or late in the evening,
yep,
it's a great walking town. It's one of the first times here, Tom, this trip anyway, where I did not take to train anywhere. Their public transportation system is just wonderful. I know they've had some hiccups where they've not run on time from time to time, but every time I've been on, it's been great.
It seems like the last couple of years, for some reason, there have been a few more hiccups than in the past. Quite a few more, in fact. Very frustrated are many. Just up until recently, again, things have been a little bit better, but the last 2-3 years, there's more and more of that. But boy, is it nice. You can get anywhere you want to go, all the way down into suburbs of Virginia, Alexandria, and so forth, down to the Pentagon.
Well, there's so many buildings here, and the buildings are so massive, the government buildings, but there's very little parking.
Scooter putting a charge into one, and he's done it again. Scooter Gennett is just mind-boggling what he's doing. Gennett homers yet again. He has hit as many home runs this season in fewer than 160 at-bats than Brandon Phillips, who also wore number 4, hit in 550 at-bats last season.
I mean, it's a good pitch he goes down to get. I don't know how you figure out where that breaking ball is going to go as it's breaking and go right down there to get it. I mean, this guy is seeing the ball as big as a beach ball right now.
Straight up in the air off the bat of Joey Votto. This will be the second down. The Reds have a 6-0 lead. Gennett had fouled off two-strike pitches before that 11th home run. And look at the numbers in June. 4 of those home runs came in one game. 10 of the RBIs came in one game. Nonetheless, he has continued to hit and hit and hit. I'll tell you, the Reds are going to have a very hard time deciding, and it's a good problem to have. Look, who doesn't want a lot of good players? But, you know, when this season began and when they swooped up Gennett with about a week left to go in spring training, nobody saw this coming.
Well, especially the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, they probably pick the paper up every day, and Craig Counsell scratching his head saying, this is not the same guy we traded to Cincinnati, is it?
Gennett had 14 homers all of last season. Well, and his playing time started to diminish last year.
Well, he will get a chance to see his old-time Brewers this week.
Yep.
Right after the Reds come home on Monday night from St. Louis in that one-game makeup game, they will host the Brewers for a 3-game set in Cincinnati.
Swinging a foul ball back by Duvall. Six runs, 6 hits for the Reds, and we are in the second inning at Nationals Park. Reds taking out some of that frustration, at least early on today, after giving up 18 runs in a 15-run loss yesterday. And now the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and that will retire the side. But Scooter Gennett, Jim Day talked about him before we got started today. Home run number 11, 6-0. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. We'd love to have you there. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Well, you know you're a big leaguer in and around the National League when you come in for a weekend series. And bear in mind, it's only one series all year, and you get that kind of treatment. Take a look at Jim Day. Setting up an umbrella for Jim down there. A few cocktails.
Is that a pina colada machine that I see behind him?
It is.
Oh, just another day at the ballpark for everyday Jim Day.
Well, I mean, you know you are the king down there. Look at it. What's it feel like to be the king, Jim Day? Chris and I don't know about that.
I was going to say I have no idea what it's like to be the king. You might want to tell me, although you are a prince.
Really?
Son of a king, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. But my man Jason down here took care of me. I told him yes. He said, I got an umbrella if you want to use it tomorrow. And I said, no, the players will verbally abuse me if indeed I use an umbrella. He had it set up and I couldn't turn it down. And it took all of 2 batters into this game for the verbal abuse to start.
And who started that?
That would be Suarez.
Well, he's off today, so he's got nothing going on.
Correct.
Right. But you know what? I would take that beating all day long instead of the beating from the sun.
You got that right, Doctor.
That's
Well,
right,
Jim, I thought the only umbrellas you were going to get were those in your drinks.
Well, that is one thing that Suarez mentioned. Would you like me to get you a pina colada with an umbrella in it? So you're thinking right along.
You didn't take him up on it.
No, I don't think we have any available down here. What I held up was good old-fashioned H2O.
Oh, I can promise you it's available.
Not on the job.
Well, maybe
after the
that
game.
I understand, but I can promise you that it wouldn't take long, and I would even pick up the tab.
Oh,
Hey,
wow. All right, I'll take 3.
pull up another chair, will you? Talked about Trey Turner having a big game yesterday. What about the year or the day that Michael Taylor had? He was on the bench for the previous couple of games with some kind of a banged up injury that no one really knows what it is, but then came back 4 for 5.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about Taylor. They're hoping that he just can become a consistent guy. You know, he's never been an everyday guy over the course of an entire year. Now, he played in 138 games, and he had a little more than 450 at-bats 2 years ago. But then last year, he didn't play well. Hitting the 230s, very little power. He did make the opening day roster, but he was up and down 3 different times. He's only 26 years old, and he has gone on strikes.
I tell you, Feldman has got that spot down right there, low and away. I mean, it's everybody's safety zone, but it's different than being able to actually get it out there and finish the pitch. I mean, that spot is so much more important than an added extra 4 or 5 miles an hour that you might get if all you did was rear back and try to throw it by the hitter. Every hitter would much rather have that.
Now the batter is Lobaton. Swing and a miss through a fastball right by him.
You know, Feldman has kind of the deception that he has. I'm wondering if it may be something to do with his arm slot. He's a big, tall guy, really tall, but his arm slot's kind of low, and I think that has a tendency to hide the ball a little bit.
Well, I mean, there's nothing tricky about the first 2 pitches in this at bat. It's cut it loose upstairs, and Lobaton tardy and empty. So after 2 of those, you're going to try and flip a breaking ball up there or run it right by him?
I go up the ladder a little bit higher. He's at the knees and smoke at the throat.
Try to climb that ladder, and this time a Lobatone lays off him. Well, you get about a couple hundred of those, don't you?
Well, little sayings like that?
Oh,
yeah. I'm just not sure which one's going to pop in my brain at any one moment.
I get it. All right, so after throwing a couple of fastballs right by him, he tried a third one in a row. It was a little too high. Now the breaking ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Came back with another fastball and off to the third base side out of play. Two once more on Lobatone, and he does indeed climb the ladder and comes up with strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts after a leadoff walk. 4 Ks in the game for Feldman.
You know, the low arm angle, if you keep your fingers on top of the ball, you can throw a sinker. But if you work on the side of it just a little bit like he does right there, you can make that ball ride high in the strike zone without putting a lot of backspin on it. That pitch right there is similar to what Tony Cingrani does. He doesn't have a lot of backspin, but he's got a lower arm angle and is able to run it right up there. But now Feldman will go back to that safety spot low and away. Attack!
Now the pitcher, Roark, trying to make it 2 scoreless innings. Feldman, he worked out of 2 on and 2 out trouble in the first inning. In fact, they had 2 on and only 1 out before he retired both Murphy and Rendon. Breaking ball and a beauty. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Straight away center field. Billy Hamilton a few paces back and to his left, and that's all in the Washington second. We move to the third. Good start for the Reds on this Sunday, leading 6-0.
Reds for your 2017 All-Stars with the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Vote at reds.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 88th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard July 11th live on Fox. Zach Cozart on the disabled list with the quad injury. He has gotten all the treatment on that quad, including draining some fluid, injections, everything they can do for it. Now with the 10-day DL now, he's eligible to come off on Wednesday. And I don't know what the team wants to do, but I do know what Zach wants to do. He says the disabled list is not for me. He's kind of resigned himself that the quad might not be 100% the rest of the season. And he said, hey, I was jogging before. If I have to jog and not sprint on the field, so be it. I think I can help the team even if I'm not 100%. Look for him to push to come off on Wednesday.
Well, you know, it's always a tricky decision. I mean, more times than not, the scenario that Jim just painted is one for just about every player. No player wants to be on the disabled list. I know there are a lot of times that, you know, the cynics out there say, well, this guy doesn't want to play, doesn't want to pitch, and maybe in some case from time to time that might be accurate. But by and large, these guys are prideful, professional athletes. They want to play the game and do their job, and they always want to come back early. But sometimes an organization has to just say, hey, look, we love having you in the lineup, but I'm not so sure that we like having you in there at 70% when all of a sudden you could hurt it again and go right back on the DL in 5 days.
Well, I think for Zach Cozart, though, there are extending circumstances that give him extra motivation. Number one, he's right in the thick of things as the leader in the All-Star Game balloting at the shortstop. Number two, he's a free agent at the end of the year. And the more he's on the DL, the more other teams are looking at him and thinking, well, you know, does he have a continuing issue with one of his legs that we may not want to go after him because of that? So he's got to prove to the baseball world that he's healthy so that he can get into the All-Star Game and that he can benefit from being a free agent. And those are the things that don't often happen to a player when it comes to DL decisions. This is why this is a little extra sticky one here with Zach Cozart.
Schebler bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up on a bouncing ball to the first baseman. This one he rips into right field. It falls in front of Harper, a leadoff single in the third with the Reds leading 6-0.
Well, Roark really not fooling a lot of people right now. Now he's given up his share of blue pits already in this ball game. But I mean, for a guy that is coming off his worst outing of the year, where he only threw 69 pitches and 2+ innings, I mean, he has kind of picked up where he left off in his last outing. A lot of people are scratching their heads and are wondering what happened to Roark, because really the minor leagues for the Washington Nationals, there are not a lot of major league ready starting pitching help ready to go.
There's one, and they turn it over and get the double play off the bat of Kiblahan.
Reds are going to hold it up and take a look at the tape.
I think Kiblahan has probably thrown water on that fire by sprinting back to the dugout. He was out. Or was he? I am stunned. Well, now the Reds are going to say, hold on a minute. No, they're not going to do it.
They got the thumbs down.
Wow. Well, how did you see that?
Well, Brian put the thumb down.
Well, I mean, I'm saying, how did you see that replay?
Really, really close.
Yeah. Did you just say to me I saw Brian put the thumb down?
Yeah. I still think there ought to be a red flag.
I tell you, you're on your game, man. You are on your game today. Hour brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together, and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Always a special hello we send out to those watching over at Cincinnati Children's today. Pray for a great one today and even better one tomorrow. We're in Washington, District of Columbia. Washington Monument on this sparkling Sunday afternoon. And a good start for the Redlegs, out to a 6-0 advantage. Top of the order, Turner, Goodwin, Harper. And a strikeout single in the first inning. And then Feldman retired Murphy and Rendon without a run crossing. Reds will have a makeup game tomorrow and then a homestand. The final one before the All-Star break begins on Tuesday night. And I tell you, as bad as things have been for the Reds, there's a ground out down to third. And look, I'm not trying to sell you oceanfront property in Arizona here, to quote George Strait, but the facts are the facts. If the Reds can find a way to win this one today, win a game tomorrow, Milwaukee comes to town, and regardless of how many games you might be under 500, if you find a way to pick up a game or two here or there the next 2 days, and the Brewers coming into town and you take it to them, which the Reds have not so far this year, it's been the other way around. I mean, you might end up being 6-7 games under 500, but 3 out of first. 4 out of first.
Well, the other part of it, Tom, is that this ball club is a different team when they come to Cincinnati. Now, they didn't have a good run of it last time in, but, you know, they have had their best moments this season at Great American Ballpark. I think they just have a little bit different swagger than when they get on the road.
The only team that has dominated, and I'm talking about teams they played more than one series. The Dodgers went undefeated against the Reds, so that speaks for itself. But of teams that they have seen and will see a lot, Milwaukee has had the Reds' numbers so far this year. I mean, the Brewers have looked like world beaters against the Reds. Ground ball, that's to the third baseman Kivlahan, and that's out number 2.
Talked a little bit to Patrick Kivlahan earlier in the before the ball game began today about, you know, his experience at third base, and he said, you know, considering college and in the minor leagues, he's had more games probably played at third base than any other position. So I mean, you know, he's as comfortable there as he is at first base, and of course they also moved him into the outfield in order to kind of give him some versatility.
And 1 on Harper. Well, it certainly makes you, or gives you the chance anyway, to hang around in the major leagues if you're not going to be an everyday guy. Be that guy who could play left field, right field, third base, second base. And Kivlahan is a good enough athlete. We've talked before about his football background, playing collegiately at Rutgers University 4 years. Good athlete. Every time I look down there, I can't take my eyes off Jim Day. Here's the 1-1 to Harper. I mean, you look over on the other side in the exact same space where Jim Day is sitting on the first base side. And there are people rubbing quarts of sunscreen, even in their hair. Breaking ball in the dirt.
Well, there's only one patio type umbrella in this ballpark
that
I can see. One.
That's right. That's why I say my eye is taking me to it every time. It's red and white on the top.
It's painted like a bullseye.
Right.
Does he have a personal fan down there as well? Maybe somebody with some palm fronds waving him back and forth?
If he does it, he will in St. Louis tomorrow. And there he is.
Peel me another grape, please.
Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game.
I'm not kidding you. Take a look at the guy on the other side. there's a cameraman down there who's got a towel over his head. And take a look at Mike down there. I mean, he's doing everything he can to keep from going home looking like a lobster tonight.
Take a shot of my boy Jason right in front of me, though. He's got it going on. He's the man that set this all up.
Just ball for the Bryce Harper.
Yeah, there he is. It's my guy right there.
Yeah, Jason's right there. I mean,
God.
It's a big league. It's a big league.
You know, Jim Day, I'm wondering when we get to St. Louis and play that day game tomorrow, if it is hot, and it probably will be, and sunny, you think the St. Louis fans might provide you with a rock umbrella?
There's absolutely no chance of that.
I'm wondering if we can
What do
come
you
up
say?
with one. Would you wear one if we got one for you?
No.
I want to get back to what are you saying when you say that? No chance.
Even though they are terrifically cordial fans,
They are cordial.
I don't think they would help me out. The fans didn't help me out. It was my guy here on the crew.
I'm happy for you, and I sincerely mean that. Nothing and one to Daniel Murphy. Fastball up and in. It's not a Washington lineup. You want to start fooling around, walking guys with a 6-run lead, because the next thing you know against this team, after that walk, you get a single, a 3-run bomb, and it's a brand new ball game. That's how powerful this Nationals offense is. You look up and down the various categories. First in batting average, first in home runs, runs per game, slugging percentage, on base percentage. That's a whole package. That's everything you need to know right there.
And they've got mighty fine starting pitching.
So this is what we talked about. You give up a 2-out walk, you give up a single, and now all of a sudden here comes Rendon with 2 on and 2 outs in the inning. Boy, Murphy can hit. Man, can he hit.
Look how still he stays really throughout his approach. It's no step at all. And to think that he delivers the kind of power he does from a no-step swing, pretty impressive.
All right, so now Rendon, he was the final out with 2 on in the first inning. Called out on strikes. You may remember in that at bat, Feldman threw him a couple of those breaking balls, one that got away from Barnhart and put 2 runners in scoring position, and then 2 pitches later Feldman threw another one, and Barnhart did a marvelous job of blocking it in the dirt, preventing anybody from scoring. He struck him out on a fastball to end the inning. Two and 0. To the shortstop. Force out, ends the inning. So 2 big at bats. Feldman beating Rendon. 6-0 game at the end of 3.
Baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. The Reds made some promotions in their minor league system this week. Promoted to AAA, Tyler Mahle. We've talked a lot about him. Alex Blandino, the reliever Jimmy Herget, and Domingo Tapia. And promoted from High A to AA. Second overall pick last year, Nick Senzel, Gavin LaValle, and Shed Long. They're going to try to keep those three guys together. So getting steps closer to the major leagues and file those names away. You want to ask who might get here first? I think a guy like Jimmy Herget, the reliever. Brian Price in spring training said, hey, don't be surprised if he doesn't zip through the system and we see him on the big club at some point this year.
I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, we all got to see Jimmy Herget a little bit. He was a young man that actually went to the University of South Florida and broke several of my all-time pitching records there as a starter. And the Reds have made him a reliever. He's kind of a sidewinding reliever, very thin, not big overpowering guy, but he's got plenty of action on his fastball. I really thought in spring training time when I saw him pitch, that his stuff translated to the big league bullpen. I mean, like right away. So Reds have some players down there. It'll be interesting to continue to track Nick Senzel.
Well, you know, you look at that third base position, and guys don't necessarily still play that same position now. But let's take a look. This is a fascinating lift over the last few years, and we'll wait till after this pitch or this at bat. We'll start it now. But look at some of the names just in recent years, where they were chosen, top 5 rounds. Let's go back to that here in a minute, or top 5 overall. And, you know, take a look at where their careers have led them. I mean, Bryant, extraordinary. Alvarez, solid. I mean, never lived up to all that hype. Longoria's been great. Gordon, really good. He's an outfielder now. Zimmerman here came up a third baseman. Braun, of course, went from third to left. And Mark Teixeira.
Now, we're cherry picking here because you're going all the way back to 2001.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're picking the best of the best. Not every draft pick works out. So, you know, the expectations when you see a list like that are like, well, you know, if he doesn't work out, at least to be as good as Evan Longoria, you know, the Reds have failed in that pick. I don't necessarily agree with that because it's no perfect science. But from all indications and every scout that I've talked to that have seen him play and the coaches that have had him, they love him. He's got a lot to like about Senzel.
Look, it should be noted, Chris, those were all the college third basemen that were top 5 picks. Not rounds, but were top 5 picks in the draft.
Sure.
You know,
So you're not cherry picking, you're just taking only third baseman.
Only college third baseman.
College third baseman, first round picks. Got it. Top 5 picks.
Top 5 picks. And, you know, you always get into that, you know, that debate, Chris, how long? You know, how long does a player need? Everybody's different, right? Well, let's just go to the most recent guy on that draft. Pick Chris Bryant, okay? Nick Senzel last year played in 68 games. After he signed, started in rookie ball in Billings, and then finished up the year in single A D. All right, so now he's gone from high A to double A. It took Chris Bryant 181 minor league games before they brought him to the major leagues. So in essence, it would be like Senzel being brought up to the major leagues by the end of this season in September. Is that likely to happen? Who knows? But it covered a lot more time with Bryant. Because in 2013, I mean, there was no fooling around with him. He went from 3 teams, bang, bang, bang. 14, he went from AA to AAA, which was his first full year in minor league baseball. And then the great debate in 2015, they kept him down there for 7 games so they could, you know, chew up some of that running clock on him becoming a arbitration eligible player and down the road a free agent eligible player. He was there for 7 games the next year before coming to the big leagues. First 2 retired Here in the Reds, fourth by Roark, and now 3-2 on Billy Hamilton. And starts and stops. 4 strikeouts in the game for Roark, and a fly ball that Harper will end the inning. 1-2-3 for Roark. 6-0. Reds in front.
Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Yes, we know about the sausage races in Milwaukee, but what about the presidential races? You've got George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt. And so far this year, Abe Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson have won 12 times, George Washington 10, Teddy Roosevelt none. I can tell you one thing right now. You go back to the real days, Teddy Roosevelt's the athlete in that bunch.
Can I get Vegas odds on that, you think?
I'm telling you. Teddy Roosevelt was the outdoorsman of that crew for sure.
Better believe it.
No doubt about it.
Adventurer.
So I don't know what they have against old Teddy Roosevelt here in D.C., but he'd have been getting after people. Well, it wouldn't be too hard to figure out, really. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Adam Lynn. He'll be followed by Taylor and Lobaton. Feldman working on a 3-hitter through the front 3 innings. Go back for a game break here in a minute with Brian Giesenslaw standing back at our studios in Cincinnati. I understand it's a beautiful day back on the home front today. And in fact, as Lynn singles into center, what's going on, Brian Giesenslaw? Of course, Travis Shaw grew up just up the road in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, the son of longtime major leaguer Jeff Shaw, former Cincinnati Reds All-Star. Travis having a nice year. Not a surprise, though. I think that's exactly what they expected. In fact, you know, you look at the acquisition of Travis Shaw, and it is the primary, if not sole reason that the Reds were able to pick up Scooter Gennett When the Brewers made that trade, Shaw instantly became the everyday third baseman, and their very talented infielder Jonathan Villar was moved to third, from third over to second base, and that's where Jeanette had been playing. So Scooter had nowhere to go. They've already committed to RC at shortstop. High drive way back into left center field, and that one is gone. Taylor homered twice yesterday, his first today. It's 18 straight games the Reds have allowed a long ball. Breaks a franchise record. It's hard to believe that record wasn't set last year. Most of you know already, the Reds set an all-time Major League single-season record, surrendering 258 home runs last year. Unfortunately, Chris, they're on a pace this year to break that record.
Well, some of that you have to give credit to the hitters because their home runs are up all across baseball. Michael Taylor is a guy that very interesting story. I mean, when you start looking at the Nationals lineup and you got the number 7 hitter hit 2 home runs yesterday and hit 1 today, and he's only 26 years old, Michael A. Taylor is. He doesn't walk a lot. He still strikes out probably too much, but you know, you mentioned it earlier. I love the phrase, there's a lot to like about him, and there really is. He's got a nice smooth swing. He's got plenty of power. Hit 14 home runs last year, and he's up to 10 already this year.
Ground ball to short by Roark. So after the 2 hits, including a home run, it's back-to-back quick outs for Feldman. All right, so, you know, not a lot of harm done here. We still have a 4-run lead. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. 2 outs, nobody on. See if Feldman can snuff out any threat of getting a 2-out rally going with a leadoff man, Trey Turner. 0 for 2 today. Miami and the Cubs underway. South Florida 3-2 Marlins. That game in the last of the 5th inning. That game, this game, and that Milwaukee game, the only 3 games that are already underway. Nice running catch near the line by Schebler will end the inning. We've played 4. The lead for the Reds is 4.
been 2 players to have 10 RBIs in a game over the last 10 seasons, and they are going head-to-head today. We know all about Scooter Gennett back on June 6th, that 4-home-run game, 10 RBIs, 17 total bases. It's our IGS bringing the energy. But back on April 30th, look at Anthony Rendon. He was 6 for 6 that day, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 16 total bases. The only 2 guys that do it over the last 10 seasons, 10 RBIs in a game.
Oh boy. And here's Scooter Gennett again. He is 3 for 3 on the day. Single run scored, solo home run, single to begin the 5th. Now Votto, who's 1 of 2, had a single to right, scored in the 5-run first inning, and then popped up to short center in the second.
You know, Tom, you articulated very well the conundrum that the Reds face with Scooter Gennett at the end of this year. I mean, he's not a free agent. He's arbitration eligible, but he's due to make a lot of money if he continues to play the way he's played. But even in the nearer future, what do you do when Cozart comes back and you have Gennett hitting over 300, now more like about 310 off of right-handed pitching? And you have Peraza, who, you know, is perhaps your second baseman of the future or your shortstop of the future. You want to develop him. I mean, Gennett's 27. He's not like he's 37. Those are tough decisions.
Well, it seems to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, and I know that I am frequently, but it's where you get into the debate of, all right, what's the goal this year? And we've talked about this more frequently in regard to the pitching. And that is, are you developing for fill in the blank, 2018 to be a contender, 2019 to be a contender, and so you need to find out about young players, or are you trying to win games now? That would be an overall philosophical statement and decision by the Reds. Gennett, as you point out by the last thing you just said, sort of has the possibility of filling both roles. Because if you think you're going to be contending as early as next year, 28 is not an old man. 29 is not an old man.
Well, you're in the peak of your playing career,
Sure.
you know, from 27 on. You know, you can look at it one way when you say, well, that most of the development has been around the starting pitchers. Well, you know, the question you got to ask is, well, what pitchers have you developed by bringing them up here?
No, what I said was that is the question that needs to be asked. When you and I had the lengthy discussion the other night down in Tampa, I think you can make a very firm argument now. We're not halfway through this season, but there is little debate, if any at all, that so far in 2017, the Reds have not answered any questions about their young pitchers.
I would agree.
Because DeSclafani is a young pitcher, but he's not a question mark. Finnegan is a less of a question mark. But the group that we're talking about of Amir Garrett, Romano, Cody Reed, Robert Stevenson, Rookie Davis, there is no way. And Brian Price would look you right in the eye and say, there's no way we have an answer on any of those guys, good, bad, or indifferent.
And now you can add Ariel Hernandez and Luis Castillo.
Precisely. It's in the air, first base side, and off the top of the dugout. Fouled away again.
Roark has somewhat recovered after that disastrous first inning, but he is still climbing that pitch count ladder. One out in the 5th inning, he's up around the 85 pitch mark. You could conceive, or you see him going up to around 100 if in this inning, if the Reds can put a little inning together on him.
Off his glove, ricochets to the shortstop. Glove flip, and that's all they'll get. That was a hard hit ball by Duvall, and a nice reactionary play there by Roark to get a glove on it. He was helped a little bit luck-wise of where it wound up.
Well, it momentarily froze Jeanette when it goes right back to the pitcher, and Jeanette thinks he's caught the ball. And that's why he was such an easy out at second base. A little backhand cesta flip by Trey Turner. He's been watching Brandon Phillips videos.
If you can do that flip, you better make sure you get it there.
Well, he did.
He did. He did.
Don't get cranky on me now.
I'm not getting cranky. I'm not saying anything different than I don't say to those 12-year-olds coaching their base. You want to do it? Go ahead and do it. But it better happen.
It does get harder and harder to coach those 12-year-olds.
It's unbelievable. In basketball, Stephen Curry
He's
has changed everybody. There's no doubt. And in baseball, Brandon Phillips right near the top of the list.
Yeah. But what they don't see, maybe what you should do is get the video of Brandon practicing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You're right.
Every day of the year, and he's probably been doing it for 20 years. I mean, you don't fall out of bed and learn that backhanded flip.
No. Or between the legs flip.
Although when you're 12, you see it and you think you can do it.
Oh, there's no doubt. And you think you can drill him from 35 feet away. Some of those kids at basketball looks like trying to pick up an anvil, and they're throwing that thing from their ankles to get it up there from 25 feet. I watched that slop the last 6 years. Although we made a few. Made a few of those. 2-1 the count on Shepard. Great start for the Reds today, and man, after yesterday they needed it. So a real nice opening inning, coming up with 5. They get another run in the second inning to make it a 6-run lead. 2-run home run by Taylor in the just completed last of the 4th, and now 2 on, 2 out. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. A runner at first, breaking ball sends a count full. Runner Lind backs up behind Duvall over at first. And Schebler waiting on a 3-2 from Roark. Here it comes. Ball 4.
Now, no action in the Nationals bullpen, even though Mike Maddox will head on out there to see if he can't coach Tanner Roark into getting this 3rd out of the inning. This is no more than just got a little pep talk and maybe a break in the action. And it could be one of those that, baseball could look at to speed up without affecting the game at all. They've already done it somewhat. They've limited these trips to the mound to 30 seconds.
Mike Maddox was born in Dayton, Ohio. to Dave and Linda Maddox. His father, Dave, served in the United States Air Force and was stationed in Taiwan when Mike was a toddler. So some Ohio ties for Mike Maddox. His younger brother, Greg, was born in Texas as the Maddox family continued to bounce around that military life. Maddoxes would move from Texas to North Dakota to California to Madrid, Spain, and Indiana before they finally settled in Las Vegas. And that's where both Mike and his brother Greg would go to high school. Swinging a foul ball back by Kiblahan. Reds have 2 on with 2 out. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count on Kiblahan, trying to add to a 6-2 lead here in the 5th. And in and out of the mound, bit of Lobaton. So Kiblahan still hanging around. Still 2-2. Hottest team right now in the National League would be the Los Angeles Dodgers. Oh, and by the way, you hand the ball to Clayton Kershaw again. Phone it in. 11-2 now is Kershaw, and it doesn't have anything to do with luck. Nothing. He's going 7, 8, 9 every night. Broken bat roller down to third, and that'll end the inning. Clayton Kershaw. And what this guy has done again this year. End of the day, you stack him up. He was hurt last year. He missed 10 weeks of the season, so he couldn't keep the run of Cy Young awards going there. If you had to have Kershaw or Scherzer today, those are their season numbers. Who you taking?
Kershaw.
No doubt about it.
I don't know. A lot of people here may say, what do you mean no doubt about it? I mean,
there's no doubt about it.
You know, the earned run average tilted towards Scherzer. I mean, Scherzer's outstanding. You know, the funny thing was, when it just goes to show you that baseball's not a perfect science. Judging young talent, I did not see this coming when I saw Max Scherzer pitch in Arizona. That he was going to end up being one of the best pitchers in all of baseball.
Apparently they didn't either.
Yeah.
Well, maybe after they drafted him, they didn't.
Of course, we only saw him a couple of times, but
I'll tell you one thing about Scherzer, and the same holds true for Kershaw. He is one competitive dude. That one's going to fall in. Little bloop single by Brian Goodwin to lead off this 5th inning. They're both very competitive guys. I think Scherzer is much more passionate outwardly, wearing his emotions on his sleeve than Kershaw is. People around here love watching Scherzer pitch, man. I mean, look at that picture of just the eyes of Scherzer staring at you the entire game here in this ballpark out in right center.
With the strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, that is cool. So now Bryce Harper. Leadoff single by Goodwin. Reds with a 6-2 lead. Reds missing Scherzer this trip in.
Just like they missed Kershaw.
Yep.
In fact, the Dodgers pushed Kershaw back out of a scheduled start that would have had him start at Great American Ballpark on the getaway day Sunday.
Scherzer is scheduled to pitch against the Chicago Cubs, who come rolling into town tomorrow. That's a good series. That'll be Gio Gonzalez in Game 1. Scherzer against Jake Arrieta. Game 2, Strasburg v. Lackey. Game 3, Ross and Lester to wrap up a 4-game set in their strike.
Tell you what Scherzer and Kershaw have in common. I mean, their fastballs are in the same range. You know, anywhere from 93 to 95. They work, and I mean, they can get higher than that from time to time. Their low end of the speed spectrum is pretty close too. That slow curveball by Kershaw is at 74. Occasionally, about 5% of the time, Scherzer throws a curveball as well. But they both have two different speeds on their breaking ball, curveball and slider. And I think that's a lesson to be learned out there by young pitchers. Rather than trying to come up and learn a hard cutter or something that doesn't have a lot of speed separation from your fastball, you have two different speeds on your breaking ball, and that gives you a little bit of an advantage to go with one or the other on any one particular day.
Well, you look back on that trade that the Arizona Diamondbacks made. I mean, Scherzer wasn't some 8th or 9th round guy. He was the 11th pick in the draft out of the University of Missouri. 3-2 the count on Harper. Leadoff man aboard. And not running. Pulled down the right field line towards the corner. That is a fair ball. On his way to third is Goodwin. They're going to wave him around. Here comes a throw from Scooter Gennett. On the money. Good night. On the money by Gennett. That's the second time we've seen him do that in a couple of weeks. I mean, you can't put it in the glove of Mesoraco better than Gennett did right there off the relay throw from Shevler.
Well, Bob Henley, the third base coach, is taking a chance that this would not be on the money. Perfectly done right there. You hit the first cutoff man, and Gennett drops it on the money. Hey, even if it's not on the money, you got a chance to get him anyway. I think the Nationals are taking an extra chance right there, down by 4. And you won't ever really know what would have happened in this inning, but well, that goes on your way to running yourself right out of an inning. A harmless double.
So what a day today for Jeanette. 2 singles, a home run, and now a perfectly executed relay throw. Schebler, Jeanette, Barnhart. And out at the plate is good.
You know, oftentimes it's the relay throw that gets all the pub and the back and the high fives, but the guy that started the throw is very important too. How quickly you get to the ball and how quickly you get rid of it. That's the most important thing for an outfielder. Not the strength of your arm, but the accuracy and the quickness of the release. All you really got to do is throw a ball 120 feet.
Fly ball into left field. It's not only throwing it 120 feet, Chris, and you well know, you know, it's not like a pass in basketball or football. You know, are you leading a guy? In baseball's case, Jeanette's not moving. He's not a moving target there. He's set in a spot. But are you throwing it to his right where he has to reach across his body and then find the ball? No. He caught it where he could, perfect position, just reach in there and fire.
Well, you're exactly right. He turned his body so that he was kind of catching it sideways. Look at it where he's already moving and pivoting. That's a great point you make.
I mean, that's no different than the execution of a completed pass or an incompleted pass in a football game. Guys going across the middle. Do you throw it a foot behind him? Do you throw it 2 feet in front of him? Or do you throw it in the only place that he can catch it? 1st and 10 or 4th and 8, you're punting.
When you ask yourself, how many interceptions did we throw?
What a big play that is, perhaps not only in this inning. There's no debate on that, but in the grand scheme of things in this game, see how it plays out. If they just hold the runner there, it's 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. That fly ball would have brought in 1 run. If you don't make the play, you probably have Harper standing at 3rd. The run scores, so it's 6-3. That last fly ball makes it 6-4. And here is, thought for a second here they were ready to ring him up. Looked like the right hand of Brian O'Nora was about to tell Rendon leave for the 2nd time on strikes. That's a balk. Now Rendon walking around out of the batter's box. Now the right foot in, followed by the left foot. And Feldman still looking in there for the sign. 3-2 with 2 outs and Harper at 2nd base. Jeanette. Well, that's good play right there by Scooter Jeanette. What an inning for Jeanette. Throws out a runner at the plate and then takes care of the final out of the inning.
home plate. The Front Gate Outdoor Luxury Suite at Great American Ballpark gives fans a spectacular view of the field. Enjoy an upscale buffet and a full beverage service, comfortable seating, and more. Book your next group outing at the Front Gate Outdoor Luxury Suite. All you got to do, visit reds.com/groups, and you'll be in there.
Very nice. All right, Peraza to start things. Latter third in the Reds 6 with a 6-2 lead over the Nationals on this Sunday afternoon. Strike one on Jose. But an infield hit scored in the 5-run first. Fly to right in the third. Barnhart on deck. And then Feldman. Roark gave up all 6 runs in the first 2 innings. He's worked 3 consecutive scoreless innings. Nationals have action in their bullpen for the first time today. Matt Grace getting loose. Pitch number 103 of the afternoon coming up for Roark, and we are just in the 6th inning. But you know, this is the kind of start, if Roark can navigate through this 6th inning, where, look, you stunk it up early. You give up 6 runs in the first 2 innings, but you're not wrecking your bullpen moving forward if you can get through 6 innings after a dreadful start. So while Roark probably doesn't want to hear that, because this is 3 starts in a row now where it's not gone his way.
Well, you know, yeah, but because of that, you've got to look for some silver lining somewhere. He's going to get another start based on his track record. They're not ready to pull the plug on him.
No.
And the way he finishes this ball game. But what you find, it's kind of weird. The psychology of pitching a game when you get down early like that, you find it very common for that other team to score a bunch of runs early on, and then their offense goes to sleep. So it's really easier to pitch when you're down than when you're up, especially in a tight ball game. You know, whether it's conscious or not, sometimes that offensive team just, you know, takes the foot off the pedal a little bit.
You know, you made me think of something. It's a debate that I used to get into all the time with we have conversations about, not a debate.
I was going to say, you're not the debating type, are you?
No, but like Ron Santo, God bless his soul, you know, he should have been in the Hall of Fame while he was still alive, but he wasn't. But he is in the Hall of Fame. And we'd sit around and talk a lot. Harry Carey, and then we started bringing different people into the conversation. And your example is inside of a game, but outside the macro view, the question being, is it harder to be a great player on a bad team, or is it harder to be a great player on a great team? We used to get into this all the time, and the central figure in the debate at that particular point in time, when it was always ongoing, was Ryne Sandberg, who outside of 1 year in his career just played on awful Chicago Cubs teams. That one hooked into right field, and that's a base hit for Barnhart, his 2nd in 3 at-bats. You know, your team's out of it seemingly every year by the middle of June or July. You got to keep going and grinding. You know, they might be pitching around you a lot. Not all the time, not every player, but you know what I'm getting at here, as opposed to the pressure of, man, I got to get the big hit. I'm the best player on the best team in the biggest situations, trying to win a division, trying to win a divisional round playoff, an LCS, a World Series. Which would be harder to do? It's an interesting debate.
Well, what did I'd love to hear what Ron Santo thought of that.
He thought it was easier to be a great player on a great team than a great player on a bad team?
You know, I think the difference would be, I don't know whether it's easier or not because I was never in that situation, but a great player on a great team makes the other guys around him better. A great player on a poor team, maybe just being a great player.
Foul ball.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that you always say about, Pete Rose. And maybe even all of the guys who played that Big Red Machine, now that you look back on it. But, I mean, we keep using those guys as example of, the highest level of where you set the bar. But Rose made everybody around him a better player. I think Morgan made everybody around him a better player because they wanted to be full-rounded players, as good on defense as they were on offense. They demanded other guys on the team to step it up and do the same. I think if you're the one guy on a bad team that happens to be having a year in and year out a great year, you don't get the opportunity to do that. You might have the ability to, but you don't get the opportunity because you don't have any other greatness around you.
Feldman can't get a bunt down. He's out on strikes. Had 6 of them in the game for Roark. So now Billy Hamilton for the 4th time today. He's 1 for 3. Foul ground, and that's off the umbrella by Jim Day. It looked like a target. You made reference to that earlier, Chris. It lives up to it now. And Jim was sprinting like Edwin Moses to get out of the way.
The question is, was he able to fend off the foul ball and not spill the pina colada?
Watch this person come running. Look at him running out of there. It's a good question. There's a delayed steal. But it's fouled off. Now what do you do with a baseball? What'd you do with that baseball, Jim?
I gave it to a little kid.
Very nice. You got company with you now.
Yeah, how about the fist pump? I knew right where it was going to hit. I was locked in there.
Yeah, you were really locked in. Swinging it. Here it is. All right. Jim Day, like Cam Newton. Look at this. A touchdown. And then the ball giveaway. Nicely done.
Ohio, in the nation's capital. I'm Jim Day. It doesn't get any better than this. I'm inside the Lincoln Memorial. We wanted Reds players. What's your favorite monument to visit here in D.C.?
I like the Washington Monument. I just think that's pretty cool.
We got to go to the World War II monument, and we got the explanation of what everything was, and that was outstanding to hear.
We went to see the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which was really cool.
Got to go to the White House one year, and that was probably the best thing I've done in D.C.
In all its grandeur, there is the White House.
Yes.
One of the greatest cities on earth, the greatest country on earth. As you guys said, there's just so much to see. It's street after street, and it is just fantastic, particularly if you are a history buff. This is a place to visit.
No doubt about it. So many lucky youngsters see just busloads, busloads, busloads. No matter what time of the year you come, of kids who are having a chance to learn about their country. Great stuff. Well done, Jim Day. Adam Lynn to lead things off. And Feldman going to work with a 6-2 lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. If you weren't with us from the very beginning of the game, the last 2 Reds wins have come with Scott Feldman on the mound starting the game, including most recently on Monday night when the Reds were in Tampa Bay and ended that 10-game losing streak. 6 runs, 9 hits, 4 left for the Reds, 2 runs, 7 hits, an error, and 6 stranded for the Nationals. Then to be followed by Taylor and then Lobaton. High fastball and gone swinging is Lynn. 5 of them today for Feldman.
Well, Scott Feldman will tell you that his last time out, control of his fastball was the key to him beating the Tampa Bay Rays, and you got to say the same thing today. A couple of starts early in the year, it was his curveball that kind of set everybody back a little bit. Now he's just moving that fastball around, throwing it very effectively down the zone, and then running it up just outside the strike zone high.
Taylor, a 2-run home run. His last time up after striking out in the 2nd inning. He had a pair of home runs in the game yesterday. On the ground down to third. Took a high hop on Kivlahan. Stays with it. 2 out. Swing into summer tomorrow afternoon, a makeup game for the Reds into St. Louis. Reds Live will get underway at 3:30 Eastern Time. Our game coverage at 4. Swing into summer on Fox Sports Ohio and Fox Sports Go is presented by Click It or Ticket. Lobaton has struck out swinging and bounced out to Jeanette. Well, Defoe is in the on-deck circle. They just called him up prior to the weekend, called him back up. Got to start in center field. It's been Taylor out there since. That is the pitcher spot next. In the air left center field, and Duvall tracking it, makes a really nice running catch to win the inning. 1, 2, 3 for Feldman. That's his first perfect inning of the afternoon. Take a look at our Honda game summary. The Reds strike for 5 runs in the first inning against Tanner Roark. Scooter Gennett a home run. Barnhart had a 2-run double off the outstretched glove of Bryce Harper. Gennett's home run came in the second inning. And for Gennett, number 11. What a year. What a day for Gennett, 3 of 3. And Feldman has been very good again today, Chris. Getting better as this season goes on.
And he's making it look easier and easier. I mean, 6 innings against this very tough lineup. I mean, they put 18 on the board yesterday. Finally, the Reds on the other side of the scoreboard after 2 consecutive losses here in Washington. And they've got a new pitcher to contend with here in this inning.
Matt Grace. We did not see Grace yesterday. He worked a perfect inning behind Steven Strasburg Friday night. So Grace will come on to face back-to-back left-handed batters in Gennett and Votto. In fact, he retired the same 2 hitters in a 1-2-3-6 inning on Friday night. Got Gennett on a fly ball to left and Votto on a ground ball to second base. Strike 1. 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors, 4 left for the Reds. 2 runs, 7 hits, an error, and 6 stranded for Washington. The Reds don't have any action right now in their bullpen. We mentioned Feldman is coming off a 1-2-3 inning for the first time today.
You know, Matt Grace is another guy, Tom, and we've talked about this a lot, how pitchers now who pitch out of the stretch have little movements in their delivery that if they do this with runners on base, they ought to be called for a balk. Watch how he kind of rocks back and forth until he finally gets that front foot step. Oh.
A 4-hit game for Scooter Gennett. Of course, he had the 5-hit game with 4 home runs. 17th player to ever hit 4 home runs in a single Major League Baseball All-Star game early in the month against St. Louis. And now a 4-hit game today with 1 home run.
Guy ought to be wearing a cape, not a uniform.
Fastball in Votto, ball 1. Reds batting here in the top of the 7th inning. The single by Gennett. Good fastball there in the inside corner. You know, with such a low number of at-bats compared to regular players, when you have a day like Gennett has had here today, you will see a tremendous jump in your batting average. Gennett started the day hitting .293. With this 4-for-4 game, he's now batting .310. You know he wants those numbers to look as sweet as possible, especially on Tuesday night, because he knows he's in that lineup against Milwaukee Tuesday night. When the Reds and Brewers would play their games, the 7 they played earlier this year, he didn't know one way or the other. He knows now. Double play off the bat of Votto. 2 outs in the 7th. You know, it's not like there's any bad blood. I mean, Jeanette towards anybody, at least none that we know of, or none that he's expressed to anybody. He's not that kind of a kid, and he's very popular apparently with the, you know, all the former teammates he had there in Milwaukee. And the bottom line is he wasn't going to play. That's the bottom line. Jonathan Villar was a guy that led the major leagues in stolen bases last year. And they really think Villar is going to be a good player.
So they found somebody to pick up $2 million of his salary.
Right.
So you think it was a money decision? I mean, there was a chance that nobody would have picked him up and they would have eaten that contract and got nothing for him in return. So there's no guarantee the Reds were to swoop in and take over that contract. When they did, Dick Williams said, well, you know, it's a little more than we wanted to pay for a backup infielder. So he wasn't suspected or expected to play here either. I mean, maybe there ought to be a slot, a roster slot on the All-Star team for the type of player that Scooter Gennett has been here this year. You know, you change teams. I don't even think he's on the written ballot. But I mean, he should be under consideration.
Fly ball down the right field line and out of play. You know, I know in some other sports they have that player need kind of thing, and baseball has the equivalent of that, where a manager can just pick a player, and that player be on the All-Star team, whether it be a pitcher or a position player. VR this year, you know, it's sort of ironic we're talking about, you know, Gennett would have not had playing time. The interesting part of it all is VR has been hurt. There's a drive into deep right center field off the bat of Duvall, and Adam in with a 2-out double to right center field. Just went on the disabled list, what, 2 weeks ago? But the number one prospect they have in their organization, the Brewers, is a second baseman. So, who knows? Reds are glad to have him is all that matters. So let's see if the Reds can push across another run. Already leading 6-2. Schebler the batter. Strike one.
The Brewers will be coming to town. I don't know if Ryan Braun will be activated. He was just sent out for a minor league rehab, I think today. Whether he'll be just down there for a couple of games or what. He's been on and off the disabled list, I think, 3 times this year, most recently with a right calf strain.
That's all for Schebler and the Reds. They get 2 hits, leave a man. They stand and stretch in D.C. Reds lead 6-2. Yes, indeed. This is one of those Bark in the Park days. And don't forget about Reds Poster Day, presented by Barbasol, July the 1st. It's coming up next weekend with the Cubbies in town. We invite you to come down. That is a 4:10 start. Don't forget, on Saturday afternoon. 2017 Reds Topps Trading Cards Poster. Wilmer Defoe was in the on-deck circle when the 6th inning came to an end, so he will bat now instead of for Roark, but for Grace. And then back to the top of the order, Turner and Goodwin. Now the Reds have action in their bullpen. I believe that is left-hander Tony Cingrani. Yes, getting ready in the bullpen. So Iglesias at least starting to stretch out a little bit. The best 3 the Reds have down there, at least the best 3 to this point in the season, were all scored upon in the game the Reds lost and blew that lead on Friday night. Remember, Castillo in his big league debut only gave up 2 runs in 5 innings. Lorenzen gave up 2, Peralta gave up a run, and then Iglesias suffering the loss, giving up a run in the 10th.
Yeah, you wonder if that pecking order, though, is subject to change based on overuse. I mean, not overuse, but how much usage that they have been needed for. And if you can give a reliever an extra couple of days, why not do that? Especially if you have somebody else who's throwing the ball quite well, and that seemingly seems like Tony Cingrani last couple of starts out, or last couple of outings.
You know, that whole thing, the overuse thing, Chris, and I'm curious, you know, we've heard a lot of talk about it, whispers about it, it's going to happen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, when you start looking at, and I know there's a lot more to it, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this. You know, at the end of the day, here we are, the Reds are playing their 74th game of the year, right? They've played over 650 innings of baseball so far this year, okay? Iglesias has thrown 34 innings. There's a ground ball to second. 1 out. Lorenzen's thrown 39 innings. Peralta's thrown 32 innings. Now, I know you have to include getting warmed up and getting hot and all that kind of thing, but average fan, I look at that number, I say 30 innings in 74 games. Does that make sense or no?
Let's put that in perspective, okay, by comparing it around to the rest of Major League Baseball. 39 innings that Michael Lorenzen has pitched puts him 9th on the most innings pitched by a reliever in all of baseball. The most is Yusmeiro Petit of the Angels. He's got 44, so he's 5 behind that. You know, Iglesias is 28th, so there's nobody down there being overused. I think what you're looking at is that whole group of pitchers down there is being used more as a group than any other team out there has used their relievers. Now, some of the relievers that the Reds have used are now down in the minor leagues or in other parts unknown. So, you know, going forward, I think Brian Price has got a really good handle on that. I mean, he's been a pitching coach for a long time. I think that's one area where he really excels.
Well, it's a nice trio down there of understanding what you're doing. You mentioned Brian Price, and you were talking the other night about Mac Jenkins. And, of course, down in the bullpen, you have a guy who did everything as a pitcher. I mean, he can look at it from any vantage point. Starter, long man, setup guy, closer, and that being that guy right there on your right, Ted Power.
You know, Teddy's like the calming wind. You know, you just never see him vary too much up or down. And that was the way he was as the pitcher.
Oh boy, is that fair or foul? Foul ball.
You know, I was a teammate with Teddy when the year that I was with the Reds, and Johnny Franco was the closer, and Ted Power was one of the setup guys. And believe me, what I learned about those guys is that They have the key ingredient to being a short reliever, which is have a very short memory. I mean, the next day after coming to the ballpark, I mean, Ted Power may have pitched 3 shutout innings and struck out 9. Or Johnny Franco could have given up back-to-back home runs to lose the ball game, and you couldn't tell the next day from their demeanor whether they had a good day or a bad day. I mean, it was just steady Eddie.
Fastball in there, strike. Straight up in the air. How about Feldman today? 7 innings. And has only allowed 2 runs. He's retired the last 8. He may not be coming out of this game. Very much. 35,387 on hand here today, and there's Mac Jenkins talking things over with Scott Feldman. At that time this year, Feldman has worked 7 or more innings. Now, we're not suggesting his day's over yet. I mean, when you see that kind of lengthy conversation going on, you start thinking, well, maybe. Now, Feldman's spot is due up 4th here in the 8th inning.
A lot of times you can tell by looking at the bullpen and who's down there and how seriously they are warming up. And right now, Iglesias is throwing. Are they looking for a 2-inning stint out of Iglesias?
Well, Feldman has thrown 119 pitches, so you know, it's probably safe to say he's done.
The former University of Kentucky Wildcat takes over. We've seen Joe Blanton for a long, long time, and he's had a very nice major league career, covering 13 different major league seasons. Guy's a survivor. You know, Tom, under the category of you never know who's watching, when Blanton came into the ball game yesterday and pitched a couple of innings, we got a shout out on Twitter from some folks down there in Bowling Green saying, hey, thanks a lot.
Yep.
For recognizing our great town of Bowling Green.
Great town. No doubt about it.
Of course, in the same conversation, we talked about Blanton earning 6 varsity letters as a baseball player in his high school. Because in Kentucky, you know, there's a clause in that rule book where if you got a small school, you can actually have a kid who is in elementary school or junior high play on the varsity baseball team. And he made his team as a 7th grader.
That's good stuff. That's down there in Warren County, Kentucky.
Pretty good golf course down there named Old Stone.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that that's the 3rd most populous town in the state of Kentucky. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
That's
after only, of course, Louisville and Lexington.
Of course, if you would consider northern Kentucky a city, you know, when you encompass the 3 counties, Campbell, Kenton, and Boone County, that would be certainly almost as big probably as any of them.
You know, you brought up the other day about the source of all Chevrolet Corvettes built since 1981 down there. Well, as there's a drive into center field by Tucker Barnhart that'll be caught as we go to break. When you put on your skivvies every day, you might think of Bowling Green. That's a home of Fruit of the Loom.
Weekend of golf, then watching the Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon, presented by Varmint Guard, tonight at 8 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. We talked before about how Scott Feldman's late father passed down the love of golf and baseball to him, and he's certainly going to love his line today as he pitched very, very well for the Cincinnati club, trying to get out of D.C. with the victory today. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, only walked 2 batters, and struck out 5. Nicely done as a new pitcher on the hill for the Reds.
An outstanding effort today by Feldman when the Reds really needed him to deliver the goods. He goes 7 frames, allows 2 runs. Feldman surrendered 7 hits, He walked 2 batters and struck out 5.
Well, when we last looked down the bullpen, we did not see Tony Cingrani warming up. We did see Raisel Iglesias, who continues to throw down there. So you're wondering now, maybe with back-to-back left-handers due up in this inning, whether Cingrani is in there for those two. Actually, 3 of the next 4 are left-handed, if they go that far.
Well, you asked an interesting question about could that pecking order be subject to change. Look, Peralta's had a great year down there, but lately he has struggled a little bit, and everybody's going to go through those stretches. Cingrani, meanwhile, is trending the other way. Well, he was dynamite here the other night.
Yeah, and he's just coming really back off the disabled list not all that long ago. Spent a long time on the list with an oblique strain. But I mean, if the batting order is subject to change throughout the season, and it is, why wouldn't the pecking order in the bullpen?
Cingrani worked a perfect inning in the 3rd here on Friday night. He came in and got Adam Lind with 2 on and nobody out. Remember, he entered the game in a tie game in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 on and nobody out. He got strikeout, strikeout, foul out, then started the next inning against Harper and got him on a fly ball to center field. Oh boy, he wanted that call. 1-2 the count. Feldman retired the final 8 batters that he faced in the game today, trying to run his record. Is Feldman to 6-4. And started each of those final 8 batters with first pitch strikes. He threw better in his final. Really, it was after the play that was made at the plate. Remember, in the 4th inning, he had given up the 2-run home run to Taylor. And Harper with a base hit on a 1-2 pitch into center.
Well, if you notice where that pitch was, we talked about Harper being beaten upstairs with fastballs from right-handers really all series long. This one gets right down there around knee high. And I'm not sure if Cingrani wanted it down there or what, but it ended up in a line drive.
So now the left-handed batting Daniel Murphy, the batter. 1 for 3. You know, Cingrani has a great, not a good, a great pickoff move. One of the best in all of Major League Baseball, starter or reliever.
I'll tell you, I don't think that Harper has much bigger lead than Joey Votto does down there, and he's the one going back to the bag when Cingrani lifts his leg. I mean, it is a runner's worst nightmare to get picked off when you're not running, and Cingrani does that to you.
Coming in, making the play is Schebler, 1 out in the Washington 8th. Well, apparently those are the only 2 batters Cingrani's going to face today. Brian Price with a 4-run lead with 1 out in the 8th inning is going to come get him. So our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. We're back in a moment. Beach when baseball's biggest stars take the field. The 88th MLB All-Star Game, July the 11th, from Miami, only on Fox. Now, this is not a safe situation for Raisel Iglesias. This is a 4-run game. It could be with a 4-run lead if you have the tying run standing in the on-deck circle. But that is not the tying run in the on-deck circle. There's one on. And the batter coming up is Anthony Rendon. Of course, Brian Price just wants a win.
Now, this is called the take no chances strategy.
Eugenio Suarez takes over at third base. He will replace Kivlahan. And he'll lead off the Reds' 9th inning, batting in the 9th spot. Strike one on Rendon, ball one on Rendon. Now, you know, Iglesias got the loss here on Friday night. And all the trouble started after the first two were out, you may remember. He struck out the first two batters in the 10th inning. Then he allowed a single to Turner, a single to Goodwin, game-winning single to Harper. Looking into the bright sunshine is Schebler, 2 out. Most of the games out west are just underway. The Dodgers are trying to make it 10 straight wins. Dodgers now have the second best record in baseball behind only Houston, and it's only by 1 game. All of a sudden, Colorado has lost 4 in a row. And Arizona continues just to hang around, winning 8 of its last 10. One on, 2 out here in the Washington 8th inning. Adam Lind has walked, singled, scored, and struck out. Fly ball left field, and Iglesias retires. 2 straight hitters to end the inning. So Cingrani and Iglesias work a scoreless 8th. Start of every game on Fox Sports Ohio. It's called Reds Live, and it's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. A makeup game for the Redlegs tomorrow in St. Louis, Missouri. And tomorrow, Chris, the return Brandon Finnegan. I know you were excited the way he had started this season out.
I am excited to see him back in the rotation. I mean, finally the Reds are beginning to get some experienced pitchers back. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about Homer yesterday? I really believe you need to give the guy a break and probably, 3 or 4 starts until you start getting your feet under your ground. That's just the way it is. And I'm not so certain that Finnegan will take that long because he hasn't been out. And he's been out a long time this year, but he hasn't missed periods of years like Homer Bailey has, basically. And I'm looking forward to seeing Finnegan pitch. I'll tell you, the Reds play confident baseball against the Cardinals.
Suarez his first at bat, and Harper battling that sun. Did he catch the ball? He did.
I think the sun and the wind, all of a sudden the wind here in Washington has really picked up and blowing from left field to right field. Made it very difficult.
Billy Hamilton only has 1 hit, but it was a hit that got the Reds off and running today. That was leading off the game. He had that double into right center field and wound up scoring the first of 5 runs off Tanner Roark. In the hole at short, and no chance. Even if he feels cleanly, does Turner. Unlikely he throws out Hamilton. That's an infield hit.
I was unsure whether we were going to get out of this city time without seeing Dusty make one of his favorite moves, which is a double switch. Here it comes.
He's going to bring in Oliver Perez to face Scooter Gennett and Joey Votto. CIN AT. Another 4-hit game, his second one this month. Not quite the drama of a 4-home run game, but an RBI single in the first, home run in the second, base hit to left in the fifth, and a single to left in the seventh. In the 4-homer game, you may remember he did have 5 base hits. So he has a chance to get a 5th hit batting against Oliver Perez here.
Well, you talk about a guy that's been around a long time and has etched himself out a really nice major league career as Oliver Perez. Broke into this league as a San Diego Padre at age 20. He is now 35 years old, a specialist out of the bullpen, holding left-handers to a really low batting average. I mean, forget the earned run average. The batting average against, when he faces a left-handed hitter, is 176. That's why he's in here to face Jeanette right now.
So he's still got a lot of life in that left arm, doesn't he?
He used to have a lot of life and animation all over the mound. Remember when he first came up, he was one of the more animated pitchers. I mean, celebrating strikeouts, sprinting off the mound.
There's one. And the runner safe at second base. That's a tag play down there. 2 outs in the inning. So here comes Votto. Well, Perez, you know, is in the same vein in a lot of ways, Chris, as Ted Power. I mean, he's done everything you could ask a pitcher to do in a game of baseball. I don't know what's going on here. Billy Hamilton's starting to walk back to first base. Do you have any idea, or are they saying that's a foul ball? Oh, okay. So 2 are out. Hamilton the runner at second.
Yeah, just as long as there was timeout when he started to go back. You don't want the old hidden ball trick to be pulled on you. You know, the old Matt Williams trick. Hey, step off the bag way, I like to sweep the dust off. And the runner would step off the bag and he'd tag you out.
Bajan out. So be it.
Yeah, Oliver Perez has 195 starts. Has not started a game in the last 8 years. Or say the last 7 years. That's when he was with the Mets.
I mean, this guy's had more lives than a cat. You know, there have been so many different points in time, even going back to his Pittsburgh days, way back. San Diego, where, I mean, it looked like he was finished. But you're left-handed, you keep that velocity. Those are the numbers as a pitcher in the big leagues. And all the starts Chris mentioned, almost 200 of them.
I mean, last winter, he went down and pitched winter ball in his hometown of Culiacan, Mexico.
Well, I get back to something you were talking about earlier today about, you know, pitchers throwing more frequently than less frequently. Look at that breaking.
Yeah. Wow. I think the old saying that Jim Cott used to use all the time about that time is that, you know, it'll rust off before it wears off.
Battle here between Perez and Votto. Little extra leg kick there. And no celebrating anymore for Perez. That was Johnny Cueto-esque. All right, bottom of the ninth. Iglesias trying to tie a ribbon around a Reds win. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to stay big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to Cincinnati USA.com. And by Toyota for over 30 offers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places. Reds and the Cubbies, you can be there for $12. It gets underway Friday night. Saturday, 4:10, Sunday, 1:10. For tickets, log on to Reds.com. One away here in the ninth inning. Iglesias has retired all three batters he's faced since coming on with 1 on and 1 out in the 8th. Stephen Drew will come up at bat for Lobaton. Drew in just a little bit of playing time so far this year, has done an excellent job. Been a good player for a long time. I remember meeting J.D. Drew after he was a first-round draft pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Had just signed his contract and had not played a professional game. There's a fly ball to center field, and living in Arizona at the time, and a buddy of mine found out Stephen Drew liked to go fishing, found out from the organization. So there was a lake across the street from the house where I lived. Knock on the door, open the door. It's a buddy of mine. I didn't know they were coming. And there stood this guy, looked like he was about 12 years old. And he has never changed one bit. Very soft-spoken, extremely polite young man, Stephen Drew. You know, his family got labeled in a weird way when J.D. went all through that stuff, and Boros, didn't sign, and then went to independent league. Liner into center, and the game is over. So the Reds come up with a win. That's a laser by Zimmerman, and Iglesias goes the final inning and 2/3 of perfect baseball with a strikeout. And boy, did the Reds need that one. But it all starts, Chris, with a 5-run first inning and outstanding pitching by Scott Feldman.
Well, Feldman is a guy that, if you would ask baseball fans around the country who's the best starter on the Reds staff, they couldn't tell you. But the Reds know, because this guy has been very consistent last 3 ball games, especially good for Feldman. Reds gave him a little bit of offensive support, good defense behind him, and it'll be a little better plane ride, I think, here from Washington, D.C. to St. Louis, where the Reds will take that one game and try to take care of the Cardinals at home in St. Louis tomorrow.
That's exactly right. So you can finish up and make it a 3.